asked me, मैंने कोई object to much consultant कुछ ऊपर वाला है कि हमारे को सूट करता है. I know वही मैं कह रही हूँ. The one above it is very abstract.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's a great pleasure to have you all amidst us. I welcome you all to the 19th JTM Gibson Memorial English Debate. This year it happens to be a little special because we have got our friends across the border from HSN College, Lahore. Welcome all. The debates are held each year to commemorate the life and time of Jack Gibson, as you all are probably already familiar with it. He preferred to be called Jack. The trophy for the debates that you can see right here has been donated by the batch of 1995. As always, I hope it's going to be great fun, and of course, some fierce debating, and to use the oft-repeated, and by now a terrible cliche, pocket a few friends for life. Before I shed some light on the topics, I'll briefly go through as to what happens during the extemporary round and the turncoat round, and as to what happens in the semi-final rounds. The format. The format has already been shared with most of the teams. We'll kick-start with the extemporary round. The topics would be, the lot would be picked on the stage. The speaker would be allowed to think for 1 minute and then come here and deliver for 2 minutes. There would be a warning bell at the expiry of 1 minute, and the speaker would be expected to start. Now, I've been led to believe that this format is a little redundant. It's a little archaic in the school circles today. But I believe words have special magic in them. Words to me are pregnant words. Words to me are umbrella words. Words that are imbued with different colors, with different shades, with different hues. And I think brevity, they say, is the soul of wit. Another challenge that you face in an extemporary is to be able to establish a contact, to be able to establish a rapport and a connect with the audience in such a short period of time. And I think that makes it extremely challenging. It'll be nice and interesting to see as to how these young minds today interpret and give their own interpretation, give their own shades to the simple, apparently simple words that they would twitter while on the stage. The second round, ladies and gentlemen, is the turncoat round. And this, we believe, is a little more challenging as compared to the earlier round, probably because you're debating against yourself, and it's not always easy to debate against your own self. When you're debating, you might have to say something that you personally might not believe in. You might have to say something that you personally don't endorse. And therefore, I think it gets a little more challenging. Both the rounds are preliminary elimination round and have got no bearing on the same final rounds. But on the basis of these, the cumulative total of the ranks of both the extemporary and the turncoat, 4 teams would sail on to the final. The turncoat round, the speakers would be speaking 1.5 minutes, proposing the motion, and then they'll turn the coat, and for 1.5 minutes they will speak against the motion. Coming to the topics, ladies and gentlemen, I think all the topics as you can have a look for yourself, all the topics that we display here. Most of the topics have got more to do. The topics are very simple, minimal, uncomplicated. And I believe most of the topics have got more to do with complex human emotions rather than topicality. I'm sure each one of you out here would be able to pick a topic that's close to your heart and would probably be able to debate with yourself. I think that's the fun of having so many topics displayed here. A brief word on the topics, the gestation of the topics, as to how these topics came into being. The first topic, ladies and gentlemen, that's extremely close to my heart, and probably the first that we framed, the science of rhetoric is the power that is derived from atomic fission. I think Dale Girls has got this topic the turncoat round. The science of rhetoric, whether it in itself is debatable whether we can call rhetoric a science or not. The science of rhetoric borrows heavily from atomic fission. Now, whenever we are discussing emotion for any length of time, I think it becomes impossible to discuss it without the use of figurative language, or for that matter, without adorning the language. We can't possibly always use simple, plain, natural, naked language. Science, when I say rhetoric or logic or reason, when I use these three words, I can easily, when I think about these words, I can easily apply the laws of science to these three specific words. Unfortunately, in the present time, that is specific to all of us, that's specific to history, and in particular, literary history. On one hand, you can use figurative speech, you can use metaphor, you can use language to soothe a person in distress, or maybe just soften something that is disagreeable, something that we call as euphemism, or maybe just, explain something that is obscure, and something that's not clear, something that is ambiguous. On the other hand, it is extremely evil. It can acquire the role of extremely contemptible role, it becomes extremely evil if it starts poisoning emotions and it starts masking or hiding the truth. I think the greatest Puritan of the age, Milton, was an honest stylist when it came both to prose and poetry. What if the field be lost, all is not lost, the unconquerable will, the study of revenge, the courage not to submit or yield, what else is there to be overcome? Closer to a time when I talked with this gentleman called Allen Ginsberg, who woke up somnolent in America in the 1950s, and this was a person who was responsible for writing long incantatory verses. Those incantatory verses that were not meant for parlor reading, those verses that were not meant for classroom study, but those verses that were meant for public performances. And how aptly does he echo the malaise of his age when he says, I've seen the best minds of my age destroyed by madness. I've seen the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness. I think the best creation, I think the most unique creation of the human mind, of the human imagination, of the human creativity, of human speech and human writing is a metaphor. Language is not governed. It's very difficult to govern a language by set of rules. Language would, in a normal circumstance, would have no parameter. It would not have a specific rule or rule that divides it into black and white or gray. It does not have any alibi. I think it would be great if the young minds today indulge in this strange freedom at their own peril, of course, and explore and tell us all as to what words mean to them, as to what language means to them, as to what rhetoric means to them, as to what figurative language means to them. I think it would be hugely impressive. Another topic, science owes a debt to imagination. Now, this topic has been brewing up in my mind for quite some time. It's been ricocheting in my mind and has been bothering me quite a lot. If you remember, last year we had done Anton Chekhov, where he says, medicine is my lawful wife and literature my mistress. That topic last year had actually emanated from another topic before that, and it said, the souls of 500 Sir Isaac Newtons, if you could just recollect, souls of 500 Sir Isaac Newtons would go on to make a Milton or a Shakespeare. Now, it would be hugely interesting. It's a dialogue between science and humanities. It's a dialogue between something that's concrete and something that is amorphous. It's a dialogue between imagination and knowledge. It's a dialogue between, let's say, logic and aesthetics, or rationale and aesthetics. I'm sure when I say this, I can almost hear the background Coleridge applaud me. Coleridge, who would probably attack chemistry like a shark. And I've used this phrase quite often. I'll just take 2 minutes more. I proudly claim my incompetence in mathematics. Now, this topic is nothing more than a personal tribute to a very dear friend and colleague of mine, Mr. Naveen Kumar Dixit. Naveen, are you there? Okay. I proudly claim my incompetence in mathematics. Now, your tribes might flourish, but actually, I just want to make a point here that we too do exist, and we exist for sure, surely, and proudly. Children don't sleep as fairy tales anymore. I have grown up believing that there's a little fairy at the bottom of a pond somewhere, and I find it extremely difficult to fathom. I find it extremely difficult to envisage that the children find it extremely difficult to sleep by fairy tales anymore.
Yes, it's true.
It is sweet and glorious to die for one's country, and this is meant for Tuhin. Tuhin, are you there? Tuhin. It is sweet and glorious to die for one's country. My friend, you would tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory, the old lie, dulce et ducere est, pro patria mori. The old lie that Wilfred Owen talks about in the poem with the same title. It is sweet and glorious to die for one country. I think this is something that got us a rich harvest at Daly College Indore. Am I right to him? So I hope you are able to relate to what I'm saying. I want to flirt with death. I want to flirt with death. I'm bored with life. Or bored with life, I want to flirt with death is a topic that's been terribly inspired by Sylvia Plath. I think she's responsible for creating some of the most searing works just before her suicide in the year 1963. And she has created such huge work. She has redefined confessional writing to an extent where she has become a literary martyr. She has become a feminist martyr. And she says, every woman adores a fascist, a boot on the face of brute, a brute heart of a brute like you. The topic that we'll probably have for the final, the God particle, man is the creator of God. The book of Genesis, God created the heaven and he created the earth. Then he created space, time, mass, universe, and then all of a sudden we come across this strange little, seemingly insignificant particle, but at the same time extremely energetic, that changes the way we look at the universe, and it acquires such an elevated position in physics today, probably because it tells us about the Big Bang Theory, as to what precedes the Big Bang Theory, what happened during it, and what was the aftermath of it all. And this Big Bang Theory, I think Peter Higgs boson, I hope it's called Higgs boson, and Peter Higgs, along with other physicists and scientists, strongly abhors and dislikes this word, and has a strong contempt for the nickname that this word has acquired over the years. I think 1993, some books and title, in which this reference appeared for the first time. Higgs boson, it has an elevated place in physics, and I think it will be hugely interesting if we debate on God particle, man is the creator of God. This particle for sure governs the law of nature, it governs the law of matter, it governs the law of pre-universe, and the big question here is, ladies and gentlemen, does it govern God? Does it in a way govern that supreme entity that we call God? Does it in any way mock or ridicule the supernatural creator, the supreme entity? Leaving enough food for thought, ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Kushagra Agrawal, the college vice captain and the MI captain, to carry on with the proceedings of the day.
Honorable Chief Guest, distinguished guests, teachers and students. It's a proud privilege to welcome you all on the 19th Padma Shri